Good morning, YouTube. It is Friday. Happy Friday to you. I've been told by my kids that it's uncool to say hello, YouTube, or good morning, YouTube. Apparently, that's a boomer thing to do. I don't know what I think about that. I guess I don't really care. I'm not really doing this for the kids, but I don't know. Maybe it is a boomer thing. I'm not a boomer. My parents are boomers, so maybe that means I'm mature. And so I'm taking it as a compliment. Good morning, YouTube. Hi, YouTube. So today I want to talk really quickly about skepticism in medicine. And just for background, I'm not a physician. I'm not a scientist, but I am the CEO of a physician staffing company. So I do talk to physicians every day and healthcare people, and I have a lot of conversations with them. I have a podcast as well where I interview doctors every week, and I try to get into deeper stuff like this. And whenever I ask a doctor, what role should skepticism play in the practice of medicine, it's usually met with like a, what are you talking about kind of response. And really what I'm asking is, should physicians be skeptical? Should physicians look at research with and papers and things that come their way with a degree of skepticism? And should they, or should they just kind of accept whatever they're told is right as the truth? And just so that's kind of the question I'm asking, and it's a more important question now, I think, than it's been in a long time. And what I mean is, I think physicians have been really frustrated by and annoyed by the experts, the internet expert patients who come in with having done a bunch of research. And I feel like that's like a popular thing for doctors to sit around and complain about, like, oh, these stupid patients, they don't know how to read, they didn't go to college. One of the problems is that physicians don't study statistics hardly at all. I mean, I think your average physician gets a semester of statistics. And so the thought that like they've got a lot more education there than a typical citizen patient is dubious, at best. The idea that they're impervious to being manipulated or to data that has been manipulated is frankly silly. If you Google the replication crisis that's been going on now for quite a while, about a decade, I think. You'll see, and this is not like some conspiracy thing. This is a huge deal, that something like 60% of peer-reviewed studies don't replicate, and it's this phenomenon started to sort of be exposed in psychology and some of those areas, and now tons of work has been done to actually test the reproducibility of studies, and it's pretty much held true across different fields and disciplines that like 60% of studies don't replicate. So that's a problem. And so I think what's happened right now in America is that your typical American has become more skeptical over this last year than they've been in the past. And that doesn't apply to everybody. There are some that are like just religiously devoted to whatever the science says. But there's a lot of us, kind of red state folks who have become more skeptical than ever this last year about the science and the authorities that we're supposed to trust. And just a real quick, background on I think why physicians have been trusted in the past. It's never been that we trust you because you got a degree, or we trust your intellectual powers or whatever. We know that your average American knows that a physician has taken this Hippocratic Oath to do no harm, and there are these established sort of institutions that have earned our trust, things like the FDA and the CDC, and that trust has really been eroded as I think this last year especially. And so what I want to what I want to say and encourage doctors to do here is please be skeptical on behalf of your patients. Patients would love to walk into the room to a doctor who already knows and has really seriously, honestly dealt with the data and the facts, and is giving them information on a case by case basis, looking at the patient and saying, let's help you work through what makes the most sense for you. I mean, that's the job. A physician, a doctor means a teacher, and I really do think, as I've thought about it and talked with a lot of physicians, I really do think that's the main job, for a doctor to do, is to sit down and educate their patients. And as with most good teachers, I mean, it's a dialogue. You sort of help bring somebody along, and I think it's just not going to cut it anymore, for a doctor to point to his MD and go, I went to medical school, I know what I'm talking about, or to appeal to standard of care, or FDA or CDC or AMA or whoever it is you're appealing to, because I think anymore patients just don't trust those folks. We did, and we gave them a pretty long leash for a long time, and I think that trust has been pretty badly abused. And I talk to physicians all day, every day, and physicians are very skeptical of the motives behind what a lot of the interests in healthcare are doing. And so, and it's just that's not, that skepticism is sort of kept behind closed doors and is not really shared with patients. But I think we need to, and I know that it's difficult. Your job is at stake. And this is really part of the big problem, is that in the ancient world, you had, the three professions: legal, medical, and clergy. And they were set aside as professions that we, as a society, didn't want to have influenced by profit motives. So we paid them an honorarium in order to separate them from the potential problems and corruptions that come from a profit motive. And it's not hard to understand why that's the case. If a physician is or if a lawyer or a judge is bought off or is going to try to twist and bend the law in order to enrich themselves, then they will. And if a pastor is gonna lie to you about what Scripture says in order to sell more books and make more money, then they will. And so and the same is happening in healthcare. And I think anybody who's really looking at it knows, not only is it a profit-based system, which it is, but it's not even close to a capitalist system. It's a free market medical system would be a massive improvement to what we have. What we have is about as far as you can get from free market. I'm, as a patient, I'm not making decisions about how I spend my money. I'm walking into a doctor's office, and they're regurgitating to me the studies that the pharmaceutical companies paid for and gave them to prescribe me drugs, and that the health insurance company pays for or doesn't pay for, and I'm just sort of a passive participant in this thing. I'm not participant's an overstatement. I'm just like the subject. So it sucks. It's not a great system. I hope that it changes. I want to change it. I want to be a part of changing it. I don't want to just complain about it. But I think the biggest thing that physicians can do right now is be skeptical for their patients. Patients know, and doctors know this too, that you have to, if you're going to go to the hospital, you got to be an advocate. You got to be your own advocate. It used to be that your family practice doctor was your advocate, and then hospitals realized they could make a lot more money if they kicked family practice doctors out and created hospitalists and who worked for them, and they're paying. The thing is that I say this all the time, but physicians take a Hippocratic Oath, but their CEO of the hospital doesn't, right? And the pharmaceutical companies don't, and the insurance companies don't. The healthcare systems don't. And so you have all these employers and payers and people that are involved and very heavily involved in how patients are cared for and treated, and they're steering it and they're incentivizing it. ER physicians understand what RVUs are, getting paid. Basically it's getting bonus points in your pay for productivity, and so, it's not a system anymore where physicians have the luxury of just doing what they think is best for their patients. I mean, if we look at, I think I mentioned this in another video, but just to reiterate, if we look at the number one, biggest causes of death in America, it's all heart disease stuff. It's diabetes and hypertension and heart disease. And anybody who's really seriously, honestly looked at it will tell you that a change in diet will make the biggest, a significant change in diet will make the biggest impact. But that's not something that the hospital is encouraging their doctors to teach and to focus on. Well, they've got that disease and insurance will pay us to prescribe this drug. And we got the studies, it's standard of care. The studies say it's safe and it's good. So do that, and that's the end of it. Right. And it's not this idea that a doctor is going to teach his patient, hey man, you've got a serious heart disease threat here. This is going to kill you prematurely, but it's totally preventable. And here's how, let's take ownership of this. It's just not happening anymore. And so I know I already said that in another video, but the point I want to make is that physicians need to be skeptical, need to become, again, their patients' advocates. They need to help the patients feel like we're swimming in this world of data and medical jargon that we don't understand entirely. We're doing our best with it, but we're feeling like if I don't do it, who's going to? Nobody else cares. And these physicians, these hospitals seem to be bought and paid for. These physicians seem like they're unwilling and unable to say anything that goes against the status quo sort of powers that be positions, because they'll lose their jobs. I don't blame them. And by the way, most of them are up to their eyeballs in student loan debts. I mean, I was talking to a doctor yesterday who said that he encounters physicians these days with $700,000 in debt, in student loan debt. So you graduate, and on day one, you've got to start paying back this massive debt. And you really think that doctor is going to challenge, what his hospital's telling him he's supposed to be doing, right? You really think he's going to step out of line when he's going to get crushed by this debt that's going to follow him for the rest of his life? So it is an ugly situation out there, and I know that physicians are good folks with great motives for coming into medicine, but just be honest with yourself and honest with your patients about the fact that this whole system is pretty messy and corrupt, and there is a lot of bad information out there. There's a lot of stuff coming from the authorities. They're supposed to be looking out for us. That's not good. But there's still a lot of great information, research, and that's my job as a doctor, is to sit here and stand kind of in the gap and help you make sense of all this stuff and make a good decision for you. I think if you do that, you're going to get a lot of loyalty out of your patients, a lot of compliance, with your advice and direction. And I hope that's all leading towards a shift in medicine away from big corporate medicine and more of a personalized, direct kind of model. I think we're seeing it with concierge medicine, direct primary care, even the medical health, the like MediShare kind of insurance alternatives. There's a lot of really good stuff coming. Free Market Medical Association, I think, is another one where it's just like direct pay for procedures and stuff. And so I think there's a lot of people who are going, I want to get back to a situation at least where it's just me and my doctor, and my doctor doesn't have all these influences in his or her life that are really steering his or her decision making, I think more people are excited about that. I'm really excited about it. We don't have a DPC here in my town, but it's something I'm actually really interested in trying to make happen. And so anyway, that's my little rant for the day about skepticism in healthcare. I hope that's helpful. I hope it makes sense. If you've got thoughts, pop in the comments, and if you've got thoughts about what I should be talking about on the show or how I should be doing it, or like how I could be improving, I'm really interested in trying to make this something that's good and that adds value to people's lives. So please jump in. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon.